So, first of all, welcome and thank you very much for coming and spending the afternoon here, or a part of your afternoon. Maybe you came because of the good lunch which was prepared here and some of the drinks. Thank you very much to Nitor for having me here and inviting me. And our partners, Nitor was the first partner in Finland. Our partner network is very important to us, as we are a small organization who are providing this framework. And we need to scale as well, and we scale with our partner network, which is very, very important. With the local knowledge, they know US companies, they can support you, because we are not capable to do that just out of a scaling perspective. So, just as a quick question, who of you is an SPC? 1, 2, we have some SPCs here. How many have been to a leading SAFe training? Good. How many of you have never heard of SAFe? So a little bit of knowledge in the room, right? So we will not go into the SAFe basics today, because that's what we discussed. You already have a little bit of knowledge what SAFe is. We will really focus on the differences. What's new in version 4 of SAFe, which was basically released on 5th of January, so not a long time ago. And we'll give you a little bit of history, what's different, and if you have basic questions afterwards, we can go into details in the discussions and in the Q&A. Does that make sense? Good. So, what is SAFe? It's basically a website with proven practices and principles, which is freely available, and it helps to scale lean agile development. So originally it was developed for software engineering, and now we have a lot of changes which are focusing more on systems engineering. So maybe some of the stuff you will see does not apply to your context, but maybe if you are a large organization, then the new construct of SAFe 4 could be very interesting for you. So a little bit of the history. I think big core of SAFe was created here in Finland. And we had the first version, SAFe 1.0, in 2011. And as you can see on the big picture, it's not so much stuff on there. So we learned a lot of stuff as we go along. And here it was a lot about teams. There are a lot of agile teams in organizations. How do we scale up to the program level? How can several teams work together? That was one of the challenges we had a lot of time. And there were not so many organizations implementing SAFe or Agile on a portfolio level. That's why it was very light on there. So it started to become more interesting, and that's where you see some of the changes in version 2.0, which is basically on a 1-year cadence. There is typically a new release of the framework, because there are a lot of new learnings within 1 year. So then we had version 3.0 about 1.5 years ago, August 2014. And we have seen and got feedback from customers who said, okay, yeah, we are using the framework to build big systems, which also include hardware and software. Hardware, software, and mechanical parts. So car manufacturers were some clients, airplane manufacturers. And they started to customize the framework, and we said, okay, let's start to work on a different framework, so a parallel framework, which was called LSE, SAFe for Lean Systems Engineering. So we thought that we will have 2 different frameworks in place, and in April last year we did the first training for the new framework. And we had some of the largest system builders in the room. I think the class was full with about 42 people in there. And their feedback was, after the class or during the class, why do we need to have 2 different frameworks? We are doing some software stuff where we need this one, and we are building systems which maybe have some different names, some different roles, but we also want to kind of initiate some of the change, and it's good to have different terminology to initiate some of the change. So we did more trainings, and we collected more feedback. We do a lot of A/B testing in our classes to say, okay, you have option A or option B, what would you go for? And then we got the feedback, yeah, we should integrate that into one framework. And that's what we did then, started in April And basically the result is the new framework, which is called SAFe for Lean and Software and Systems Engineering. And that's the version 4.0, which you see on the wall there. So the new framework. Interesting now, the core values are the same. For those of you who have been in the trainings, I think it's not a difference in here. Maybe that one a little bit, because it was more software quality. So we have quality, which is a key point, program execution, we have transparency, and my favorite is alignment. So why alignment? I want to do a quick experiment with you, if that's okay. You need to trust me a little bit for that experiment. So, are you all from Helsinki? Most of you? By the way, very nice city, even if the weather is not good. I had very nice weather when I've been here the last time, and it's one of the cities I could live in, so I really enjoy it here. So think how you came into the building, into the room. Quickly look around the room. Just take a second for that. So now you need to trust me a little bit, because we have a job to move that flip chart around. We as a big group. And to move that flip chart around, you need to close your eyes and you point with your hand in the direction of east. Close your eyes, please. And really, there's no right or wrong, so. Good. Keep your arms up and open your eyes. And have a look around the room. So, what would happen now is that you can keep your arms down. I think we have it all over the place. And by the way, I have no idea where east is here. But let's assume we had a very, very clear specification, right? East. I can write it down. We can all read it. And now we are all pulling on that flip chart. What is happening? It's basically moving around, maybe going in one direction where we have a tendency, but we don't have full energy in that direction, right? What would happen if we say, we all agree, we are sitting in one room, we all agree this is east, we are all walking in this direction. Could you see the difference? We could have a huge power to go forward. And I think that's one of the key things in SAFe, for some of you who have done PI planning. One of the most fascinating events, which is happening on here, PI planning on a regular cadence. So alignment is really one of my favorite elements. And we have bigger challenges when you imagine you have to build a car or an airplane. There are a lot of people involved, thousands of people building that solution. So how can we align them? How can we synchronize this kind of development? And that's on the core of SAFe. So one of the very interesting experiences, we learned a lot in the classes. And we had long discussions, how many levels should we have on there, and the system level. And then we had a very smart person in the training who said, yeah, we have a 3-level SAFe and a 4-level SAFe. Let's just collapse that, one of the levels. So we have a 3-level SAFe, easy, as we had before, team, program, portfolio. And if you need more, you can expand it and you have more. That was an idea which was coming out of a class, so we have a lot of very, very smart people in there, as you who have been to the class. So you see when you go to the website, that's the simple version of the framework. 3-level SAFe. 3-level SAFe is compatible with SAFe 3.0. It's the same. All the features of 3 are part of 4 as well. The same level, some new icons, some new re-rendering of the stuff. One of my favorites, and when we look at the big picture over here, can you see the triangle here of responsibility? Process, content authority, and design authority. They are together. We have it on the value stream level, we have it on the program level, we have it basically in teams as well, Scrum Master, Product Owner teams, and we also have it on the portfolio level. I really like that the kind of rendering on the new picture. So 3-level SAFe is really suited for medium-sized companies. Smaller, some organizations are also small who are using SAFe. You migrate to SAFe 4.0 if you have a need, if you need some of the examples up there, some of the Kanban. We will talk about some of the details in a second. The old website, 3.0 website, is still available, certainly until the end of the year. There's also training material and training available on the old version. But most of the organization will move to the 4 version. So what's new? Most probably you have seen some of the elements here. What we have the 4 core values: alignment, transparency, program execution, built-in quality. You can see the house of lean, SAFe principles, how to implement SAFe implementation 1, 2, 3. Lean Agile leaders, they had a different icon on the framework, and that's a new one, community of practice. So how can we synchronize maybe some technical practices around or across different teams in our Agile release train? So that's a kind of the foundation which changed. And then we have, on the program and team level, we have some changes. Not a lot, but there are some. So one of them is basically the rendering of the roles, but also you see a Kanban system here to fill the backlog. I think most of you who are doing SAFe, yeah, how do you get to the initial backlog? There are a couple of steps you're doing, right? To fill all the details for the feature backlog. So more focusing on flow. Milestones are now explicit on the framework here on the right side. We can apply them. We have more guidance for program execution. Vision and roadmap is a little bit adapted. So basically all the articles you find in the framework are completely rewritten. So you find a lot of additional information if you go in there. And then we can do some customization with construct that's called the spanning palette. We will go back to that a little later, where you can do customization on the different levels. Do you remember architectural epics or architectural features? The red stuff. So there was a kind of feedback, why not renaming it? And really think about what it is. It does enable some functionality, some value. So we also did a lot of A/B testing, and enabler is a kind of a good word. So a red thing, a technical stuff, an exploration, Spike, for example, architecture, infrastructure work. We need to do some enabling to build business features, business epics on that red stuff. We have enablers on all the different levels. So they also have a breakdown structure from the portfolio epics into capabilities, the new construct we have on the value stream level, features and stories. So red stuff, enabler, new name. Old idea, but maybe sometimes a little bit easier to understand. So what's different on the team level? Have you seen anything which changed on the team level? Kanban. So there was no official Kanban icon on the old framework, but a lot of organizations have used it, especially for system teams, for DevOps teams, but sometimes also for development teams. So there is new guidance, new ideas on here, because if you work as a Kanban team on a train, we probably still have dependencies and we need to work together, we need to synchronize on some of the elements. So Kanban flow is new. You also see software, firmware, hardware, because we see much more hardware. Teams also working in an agile approach. Most probably some of you have seen the Wikispeed video, how they build a car in 2-week sprints with Scrum. And one of the most fascinating parts in there is that they build the tests first, also for hardware. So if you have not seen that video, search for Wikispeed on YouTube. Very, very powerful video. Built-in quality on that side, that's really for software and hardware. How can we ensure hardware quality, and a little bit more guidance on XP practices like pairing and so on. So a couple of changes on here. But the big change is the additional level, the value stream level we have on there. Do all the organizations need that? No. They're really the largest organization, big system builders, which have thousands of people building the solution together. That's where we need that kind of additional level. Don't say that you cannot use certain elements of that, because it can add some value as well to pick some of the stuff. So when you go on the framework, you click on expand, and you get the additional level. Anyone tried that before? Click on it. I'm very happy to see the SPCs raising their hands now. So what's new in here? It's really for the largest systems, airplanes, satellite, rockets, cars. That's where you have thousands of people working together. So there is a new element, the economic decision-making framework. So how can we communicate? How are we doing decisions? What are our customers? Do we have high-end customers, low-end customers? Having this information communicated to all the teams really helps to build better solutions and make the right decisions. So that's part of decentralized decision-making. We have, very interesting, we finally have the customer on the framework. I think that's a big part. The customer is visible up here. We have a new element on the left side, solution intent. Most probably you're working maybe with fixed price contract and you have a list of requirements and all these requirements are fixed. Right? You cannot have some flexibility in the requirements. But when you start thinking, okay, I, for example, build an adventure ride system. So for an amusement park, so I have the tracks and I have a car and I want to have 4 passengers on that car. And maybe in the specification it's written, okay, the car needs to support 400 kilogram. So 4 people, 100 kilogram, kind of what needs to be supported. So maybe you identify that for a solution with 380 kilograms, we can have a much cheaper solution. Maybe we have a different material which allows more stability as we go along. And then the requirement is not fixed anymore. So it's interesting that when you really think about it, a lot of the requirements can also be variable, which really allows you to make some trade-offs and decisions, which focuses more on value and delivers value. So we have capabilities, we'll talk about them. And also interesting, we have cadence and synchronization across agile release trains. So they plan at the same date. There's some pre-planning and some post-planning. We talk about that. Synchronization, manage dependencies, get alignment. That's what we want to achieve with that. So the customer and the solution we are building, so finally also the solution is visible. And one thing which I like even more is the solution context. Where does the solution operate? So where does, for example, you are a company who creates navigation systems, navigation data. What's the solution content for that navigation system? Any volunteers? Infotainment, right? Navigation is infotainment where you have an audio system as well. And then this is built into a car. So you have a system of system. Is it good to know where the solution will be operated later when you develop the solution? I think that could be quite handy to understand, to know what's going on. So is it operating in an airplane? Do we deploy on a cloud solution? Is it a desktop solution? What kind of other system boundaries do we have in there? So the solution intent can really help also to communicate what's going on. So we have the value description on the different levels. It's Epic on the portfolio. We had features on the program level and stories on the team level. And the new value description we have on the value stream level is called capability. So now what's the difference between a feature and a capability? So feature is one train. Capability is the same value stream but across trains. Both of them fit into one PI, into one program increment, the time box we have on a program level. The difference to the Epic is the Epic can span across several PIs. So capability is kind of the new unit of value which was introduced on the value stream level, also to have kind of a different terminology to talk about. Another new icon you can see, and it's basically here below there, the solution intent. It's a kind of a concept which makes visible the what and the how. So basically the requirements, capability, features, stories, NFRs. What do we need to build? And this is not something which is static. We are constantly working and improving that, right? That's why we are doing Agile, because we don't know anything up front. So we have an idea what it looks like, and then it moves into the current state as we are developing the details on there. But we also have design in there, models, especially when you develop hardware, mechanical parts. I worked in an organization where we did ticket vending machines for public transportation. We had these coin handling systems. So we built different models to identify what would work, prototypes, which help us. And all these models, this calculation, helped us to make decisions, to create a high-value product at the end. And the last part is really the test, the verification. We have the requirements, what do we want to build? We have the implementation, and we have the test for verification. And the whole thing is the solution intent, which we are constantly working on improving and detailing. I see some people writing, so I think that's a good information that there are some questions. So talking about the customer, oftentimes there are different types of customers. In Agile, we say, okay, we want to have the product owner coming from the customer. It's not always possible. Sometimes maybe you have a more general solution, a CRM system, or an Office, Word, PowerPoint, which you're using. So there are a lot of customers. You cannot have an individual one which is supporting you. So you have a kind of a proxy product management, solution management, which is the voice of the customer. They talk to the customer on a regular basis. They do testing. They give or they try to collect feedback. I've just been at an event of a big software supplier, and they presented their tools to a key group of people, of users. And they presented new functionality, they presented their roadmap, and they collected the feedback to then implement. So that's basically the indirect customer. And on the other side, we have the direct customer. If you have a defense system, government, who is one specific customer who is building that system, he can give you direct feedback what you want to build. Do you build the right thing? You can ask direct question. You have the representative as the customer itself. So you can work much closer with them on the scope, the schedule, involve them much more. And I think it's a good idea to talk about who is our customer, understanding what kind of role do we have, how do we communicate them, how do we involve them, how do we invite them to the solution demos or PI demos, because we want to see them there. We want to get fast feedback, one of the principles, safe principles we have behind. So on the one hand, we have the customer, and on the other hand, we have the suppliers. Anyone working with suppliers which deliver some of the components? I think it's reality. So sometimes they are part of the team, sometimes they are just delivering something. Some of them are agile, some of them are safe, some of them are not, and working in a very traditional approach. Especially when you go into, for example, automotive industry. So not all of them are working in an agile way. How can we integrate them? Because we still need to have synchronization points that we know what kind of dependencies we have, that we can manage expectation, and that we can build solutions increments. So what we want to have is to have also the suppliers at these PI planning events of the trains to be able to manage dependencies. So one pattern we see is that on the one hand, we see customers who start to train their suppliers as well. Do you think it's value if know what we are doing and how we are doing it? Maybe we can deliver more value and faster value. it's an investment from the customer into the supplier, but at the end I get more value. I know it's a little bit depending on the contract you have. By the way, there is an agile contract. When you go to the framework, you go to guidance, you find an article about agile contract. There's no icon on the framework yet, but there's already some guidance up there. And I've also seen it the other way around. There was in an automotive supplier company, and they trained SPCs. They implemented the value stream, their value stream. They launched the train, and then they started to train the customer, so the car manufacturer. So they trained them in leading SAFe and SAFe for Teams or SAFe Scrum XP, and then they extended the value stream. Because for them, it was much, much cheaper to also train the customer. So they had an end-to-end understanding. We spoke the same language. We had alignment on there as well. So that's a pattern we see on both sides. Supplier train customers, but also customers train suppliers to get better results at the end. So when you have a value stream and you have several trains, and I'm not talking about 2 or 3, typically it's much, much more. Maybe you need a kind of pre-planning to have some capabilities that to make sure that at the end we can integrate the capability. So we do some pre-planning together before each train goes into the 2-day PI planning. So on there, I think it's not realistic to have everybody in that pre-planning of all the trains. We know that for the PI planning, we want to have all the people on the train, typically 50 to 125 people, as part of that PI planning. Here we have some roles which are representing the trains. So we have the customers itself. Of course, we want to have the customer there. We have the value stream engineer, solution management, solution engineering, the triangle on the value stream level. We have value stream stakeholders. Maybe we have some field agents or in an insurance company which we've been able to add or sort of other customers. And we have representatives from the arts and from the suppliers. RT, product management, system architect, maybe some additional representatives which are part of this pre-planning to get alignment. So when you click on the framework, you can also see a kind of an agenda, what is happening in there. It's basically looking what are the capabilities, what's the value stream, vision on there, understanding what are the features which are going into each train. And at the end, going back for a second, we are going out. We have the PI objectives of each of the train, and they will be presented and shared in the post-planning again. And then we have the dependency board, which shows the different trains, the dependency between the different trains. And if you've seen the dependency board on a single train, it was a kind of shocking, right? How many dependencies you have. And now imagine how it looks like when you have a value stream, dependencies between trains. And I think very, very important, we are not just accepting all the dependencies, but if we want to improve them, reduce them, we need to see them first. We need to have transparency. Going back core values, transparency helps us to improve afterwards. So pre-planning, then the PI planning of all the agile release trains, and the synchronization just to make sure we have another pair of eyes that we have managed all the dependencies, or most of the dependencies up there. So we quickly mentioned that at the beginning, up here, we have the spanning palette. So we have DevOps system team, we have release management group, we have shared services, user experience, we have vision, roadmap, metrics, milestones. And these are elements which can happen on all the different levels, right? You can have a roadmap on a train level, you can have one on a portfolio level. You can have milestones on the team level as well. So these are kind of the elements you customize based on what you need. So you pick them, so they are not only on the value stream, even if they are displayed up here on the value stream level, but you pick the elements which are important for you. So what makes sense? So there was a kind of the new value stream level, really for large systems and softwares, thousands of people involved in the trains, synchronization of several trains. On the portfolio level, we also have a couple of changes. One is that you see multiple portfolios in organizations, so multiple instances of SAFe. You see basically one part which is originated here from Rami, budgets, we had that in here as well, but we also have CapEx and OpEx, some financial constructs where we have some support there. It's very important to include your accounting department if you're working with these topics, because there are rules for every country which are specific. They are not general rules, but you find some guidance how other organizations have done it. Very, very important, organize around value. So when you've been to the SBC class, for example, what are the value streams? How do you identify them? And this is basically a key part of getting a successful implementation. Understand your value stream. And you can go in there and you get much more guidance. Basically, we have operational value stream. Think about Amazon bookshop. You place an order, the order is shipped at the end. It's a kind of the operational value stream where we make some money. What kind of systems do we use for that? Also, we have a CRM system, we have an e-commerce system, we have a billing system, shipping and tracking system from the supplier. So several systems which are supporting this operational value stream. And then we have development value streams which are maintaining the systems, for example, CRM or the billing and tracking system in an organization. So having an understanding how does the value flow in our organization, making that visible, can be a very interesting success factor in the implementation. So when you click on this, on the value streams, you will find much, much more guidance how to do these steps and the differentiation between operational and development value streams. You also find a little bit of information about coordinating different value streams. So assume you have this kind of value stream level 2 times. You build 2 cars, for example. Okay, maybe you need to have some coordination because you have a common platform. How can you do that? Maybe there are some additional roles involved on that level. So taking a step back, smaller businesses, 3 levels safe. Team, program, portfolio. That's typically enough. You don't need more. Don't add more complexity than you really need. It's very, very easy to add complexity. It's extremely difficult to remove complexity. So start small, grow. If you have large businesses, maybe 4 levels safe is right for you if you have really, really big value streams. And then if you see the largest organization, they typically have several of these safe portfolios. So it does scale up. Depending on what your needs are, you use the right tools. And if you have one team building a solution, you don't use safe. You use Scrum or something else which is supporting you. So really understanding the needs behind. Most probably you've seen that slide, that kind of business results which are delivered. You can find this kind of business results in the case studies on the framework, scaledagileframework.com case studies. You can go over with the mouse, and then you have these black boxes. And you can basically see what kind of result was achieved in each of the case study. So you can go in and read. Some of them are a little bit more high level, but most of the time you find a name in there, someone you can contact. And you see more and more case studies now also coming in Europe. There was just a new one from Lego up there. Fun one, a little bit of playing. It's the relation there. You see Intel, for example. And if you are an organization who are implementing SAFe and you have something to share, please let us know, or please let our partners know, so we can have a case study and share your experiences. Because I think it will help you, or if you've done a SAFe implementation, to have some reference cases. You are not alone. A lot of organizations are facing the same challenges and are implementing that. So have a look at the case studies as well, and if you have questions, you know the right people to go. We have a lot of SPCs here, and you can reach out to us also on the framework. Give us feedback, because this will help us to make the framework even better.